Hello, cart collectors here.
And it's finally time for our next game review. Sorry about the wait. Once upon a time, in the Elven Kingdom, there was a city called Arkista that was protected by a magical ring. Legend had it that the ring would provide peace and harmony throughout the land. Elves from all over came to Arkista to live near the ring and share in the happiness and prosperity. The elves also had two ancient treasures, the Wealth Amulet, which provided fortune to the land, and the Elf Mirror, which protected the elves from harm. Arkista became the high point of the elven civilization.
Meanwhile, in his forbidden castle, the evil shogun raged and fussed. "I will steal the ring of Arkista and the elven treasures," he screamed at his horde of wicked and vile creatures. "I will plunge this land into darkness and despair."
That night, he hatched a dastardly plan to take the ring and the elven treasures. Later, as the elves slept, the shogun's nasty ninja carried out their master's bidding.
"The ring is gone!" cried the elves the next morning. "So are our treasures."
"Oh, whatever will become of us now?" wailed the elves. Without the ring and the treasures, Arkista began its slide into ruin. Birds refused to sing, and the sky grew very dark. The evil shogun's army of horrible creatures overran the countryside.
As the elves all huddled under their beds, the elders agonized in the town hall.
Suddenly, the doors of the town hall swung open, and in came Christine, a courageous little elf. "I'll go rescue the ring," she declared. The elders looked at each other and shook their heads. Christine set out on her quest anyway, armed with only her bow and arrow. "Fear not, townsfolk. I'll defeat the fiendish shogun and return all he has stolen from us," she solemnly vowed.
Today we're going to be playing Arkista's Ring.
It came out in 1989 from American Sammy Corporation. They didn't really make too many games.
And then it was released in June of 1990.
So the first thing you'll probably notice that it has an overhead view like Zelda. It drew a lot of criticism for looking a lot like Zelda, but in our opinion, it's got its own unique qualities to it.
Yeah, most of the big game rating sites gave it like a simple 3 out of 5 or 4.0 out of 10, but we think it's a pretty solid game overall.
So basically, the goal is to walk around and you have to kill certain number of enemies that are on the screen. Generally, it's all of them or almost all of them, and then grab the key and go through the door or the staircase.
And as you can see, it uses the hot system for lives. Basically, as soon as you run out, you simply die and then start off at the beginning.
This game's quite generous when it comes to extra lives and extra continues, and also power-ups along the way.
And as you can see, instead of getting extra hearts, you get a leather armor, you can get a shield, a gauntlet, a helmet, and even a mantle to provide extra hits while you play the game.
And you do get the armor, but there are also some extra hearts you can get, but once you reach up your maximum of 5, that's when you start getting your armor.
And did you know that there was actually a bunch of unused sprites for Arkista's Ring?
No, I didn't know that.
They found, after they extracted the ROM file, they found out that there was numerous enemies that weren't even used. Like there's a crab, a unicorn, mudman, phoenix, a pixie, a pegasus, a fire guy, a wizard, a ghost, and they even found a dinosaur sprite with it moving up vertical and horizontal.
So, like, boss battle dinosaur style?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I believe it looks like a dragon later on, but I mean, this dino looks sort of like a stegosaurus. And basically, they thought he was just gonna be a simple boss, just like the other guys, but he never showed up either. And also, later on, I think it was around stage 21, there's a vampire who moves up and down, but they actually had the sprites so he can move left and right, and he even transforms into a bat. why that was never used, I don't understand.
Yeah, because on level 21, he just goes up and down and will, like, charge you with, like, fireballs or something.
Yeah. And also, I guess there was NPCs that was never used. Like, there was 2 women, old man, and even a young man that they're not sure why they were even included or created because they were never used, but...
So, I am error.
Yeah, more or less. And I guess there was even map tiles that wasn't even used either. Like, there was a ruined door within the castle. It was the same door that you used, except for it was more broken down and they had cracks. And then in the graveyard, there was a bridge map tile, and I guess there was another cross for a grave marker, but it was just never used. They believe it has to do with Nintendo's anti-religion policy.
Right, because they've never done any religious games before.
Nope, they don't. Alright, now here's one of the first beginning bosses. He's more of a dragon kind of guy. He just moves up and down, basically.
And you have to, basically, these holes force you to walk through them, and if you fall in the hole, you take a hit. So it just forces your hand there, and if you only have 1 piece of health left, you're kind of screwed. Kind of really screwed. So, power-ups. There's a nice fire wand sort of deal. It's actually called a fire wand. It can shoot through walls, which is really nice. It can kill multiple enemies with 1 shot, which is really nice. You have it for the whole stage until you die. No, even if you die, you still have it. The only time you lose it is when you complete the stage.
And also there's a thunder wand, which they say isn't very useful, but I use it all the time. Basically what it does is all the monsters on the map that you currently can see, if you use it, they'll all take at least 1 hit.
Which is great early in the game, but later on, a lot of the enemies take 4 or more hits, so later in the game it becomes useless. But in the beginning, it's nice to have, and even later in the game, it'll at least do 1 hit on everybody on the screen.
I like to use it for like bats because they are a complete and utter pain. Like, we just used it on the bats and it just kills them all. And oh, there's that vampire that I was talking about, just going up and down.
This is a spot where the fire wand is really nice. It's kind of tedious going up and down to get him, but you see, it didn't take very long at all to get him there. Some of the other power-ups, I mean, item bags are where you get all the items from. If your inventory's full, the item bag just gives you 1 piece of health back. Obviously, the key unlocks the doors, as we said before. How about the holy stick?
Yeah, the holy stick was basically... I don't even see the point of it. I mean, it's really nice for certain situations, like this one would be pretty nice. Basically, what it does is it destroys all the undead, like the zombies, monsters that are on the screen currently.
But there aren't a whole lot of levels that have those, and even some of the enemies you would expect for that to work on, it doesn't necessarily work on. So, it's kind of probably the worst item in the game. So it's one of those ones that if you're going to dump one, that's the item you dump. The cure potion is great. You can, if you time it right, you can even use it if you lose all your health and you die, and you pause just as you die, you can use the cure potion right then and revive yourself and keep playing. There's another one called the Ninja Stunner, but we're not going to get into that until level 30-ish.
But basically what the Ninja Stunner does is well, you can kind of guess. It stuns the ninjas. Like on the stage you saw before, those are all kinds of ninjas. That intensifies greatly later on in the levels.
So this level here was a little bit of a maze, and now we just entered, like, you know, the final temple or the castle where the Shogun is. So we have to navigate through there to save Arkista's ring and restore the peace, hopefully, to Arkista. So Christina on the cover art, what's the deal with like what she's wearing, you know?
Yeah, that's a little bit questionable on that. But it's a lot of people are wondering why the designers would create her to look like that. It's just I personally think it's ridiculous.
How about the aspect of it's on the cover art and that's what's on the shelf and that's what sold? Especially it was 89 was getting towards the end and it released in 90, so they needed to grab the attention at the end of the Nest life, or toward the end at least.
Well, this game was said to be one of the earlier actual woman heroes, so I honestly find it very surprising that they would show her in this provocative way.
Well, that might have been what made her pop. Well, she wasn't pop, but if it had ended up being a hit, maybe that would have been part of why, you know. Although, you know, Samus was a big hit, and we all thought Samus was a dude until, you know, we found out at the end. So right now we're about one level away from just ninjas from all hell. Right now there's some ninjas here and some other guys. Why don't you tell me?
Well, basically the big guy, he takes numerous hits. He's very difficult. He's more or less an orc. And personally, the next level I could never beat, but Tyler here was able to beat it quite well.
Well, quite well, yes and no. We spent so much time on it, or I spent so much time on it, we had to speed it up because there was just too much footage. So basically, you can just see how crazy, like, that was actually a very good attempt on my part. It's very difficult, especially if you don't know what to do or what the items do. This is the level you want to save all your ninja stunners for. You want to have a bunch of ninja stunners, at least one fire wand to go into it, and some health potions, and just pray that you survive. I mean, I was just dying and dying and dying.
The worst ninjas on here are the ones that can just run all over the place like monkeys. It's ridiculous. Quite a few times you can tell right here that they're just climbing over the walls and just constantly hitting you. It's just really, really ridiculous. It's a ridiculous level.
But eventually, with a little bit of skill and a lot of luck, I was able to maneuver my way through. And the way this works is the amount of lives you have, it'll remember the enemies you killed and where they are. So with your first few lives, if you can get rid of most of them and then on your last life kill the last one and manage to nab the key, then you can move on to Shogun. And Shogun's a big, big pushover.
Yeah, it's really ridiculous on how easy he actually is. You basically just run away from him as best as you can, and you can just kill him right off. As long as you have some sort of little powerful item, it's fine.
And once you defeat him, you get Arkista's ring back, which then gives you health back every so often. It seems to be every somewhere between 5 to 10 steps, maybe. You'll regain health. And also, if you are able to pick up an item that's called the Elf Shield, it will deflect, or it will block any ranged attack, so you're immune to it.
Talking about that as well, the Elf Mirror is actually very rare. You don't find it very often. And also, another rare item is the Wealth Amulet, which every time you take a step, you gain so much gold.
Well, it's not gold, it's just boost your points, which mean nothing, but it's you know, a neat little thing. Also, there's a chance you can play through every single level in this game and not find either of the items. It is possible. So if you find both, you're doing pretty good.
Like, we didn't even find the Wealth Amulet until the second round through, around, like, stage 66, 65 or so. And it's just we were lucky, very lucky, that we found the elf mirror so early on in the game.
So now I'm on level 123, which is basically the final level leading up to the last fight against Shogun, because the way this game works is there's 31 or 32 levels if you count the final sequence. And after you beat it, you just play through again a couple more times until it's all done. And this is as far as we were able to get. We got to level 123, and we just couldn't do the ninja room. I tried and tried and tried, but I died and died and died and ran out of continues, and I just I didn't want to play anymore. I put so much time into it.
It's okay, Tyler. It's okay.
That I couldn't play back through from level 1 all the way back up to level 123 again. Okay, I'm better now. So, final thoughts on Arkista's Ring. Is it similar to Zelda? Yeah, there's similarities. The angle, just trying to save a kingdom. But it's also drawn comparisons to Hydlide. And some people want to put it in the same category of Hydlide in terms of how good it is or how bad it is. I feel it's about in the middle of those two titles.
Yeah, I definitely think. I mean, as far as gameplay goes, I thought it was a lot of fun. I mean, it was a different outlook where you had to destroy all the enemies and then get a key to exit the level.
It is very repetitive, and it can get tiring, but at the same time, it makes you want to see it through, even though you have to play through basically the game 4 times. It makes you want to keep going, unless you have an emotional breakdown and start crying like a little girl.
Yeah, overall, I think it was a fair game, don't you?
I do. The difficulty was very reasonable. It was very progressive. I mean, overall, I'd say it's a 65 out of 100, maybe up to a 75, right in that good, solid, but not great.
Yep, definitely. I don't know about you, but I'd play this game again.
I would play it again, but I don't know if I'd be able to try to play through all 125 levels.
Yeah, that's a little bit of a stretch. I'd probably play up to the 32nd level, beat the Shogun, and call it good.
Shogun totally looks like Master Shredder. So that's our video. Thanks for the patience, and hopefully you won't have to wait as long for the next one. I'm Tyler.
And I'm Jacob.
And we are
the Cart Collectors.
Oh, what will ever become of us now? Wailed the elves. Without the ring and the treasures. Subscribe.
Let's do this!